You know what, Nintendo and Gamefreak, I'm really starting to wonder if you are gluttons for punishment, or are you really just trying to piss people off because you're doing a very good job of it. So, of course, the new video came out most recently about new info on Pokémon Sword and Shield, and once again, Nintendo and Gamefreak decided to shoot themselves in the foot, just like in the same way they did with LGPE last year. I saw this being talked about on Shofu's video the other day, but I wanted to wait to get a confirmation on this before I talked about it, but after a few days of waiting and reading up just for like the last hour or so, it looks like it is indeed happening. So apparently in Shield and Sword so far I found out, from the way it sounds like, not all the Pokemon are going to be in the games at all. Basically, it's going to be LGPE, because remember in LGPE, only Kanto-based Pokemon with their Alolan forms, Mega Evolutions, and Meltdown and Melmetal were in the game. All the rest, gone. Not even in the game for you to use like action replay, a save editor, trade, import, nothing. They are not in the game. And that's what sounds like is going to be the case for these games. If this is true, fuck you Nintendo and fuck you Gamefreak. This is an absolutely horrible decision, and there is not one excuse, not one that you can make to defend this, because I will refute them on the spot. And oh boy, I've been reading and watching like a video of like the last hour or so, and the excuses have been unbelievable. The first argument I've seen, which is so terrible, is they're trying to compare it to all the other games, which of course don't have all the Pokemon in that region's dex. However, that's not comparable because those Pokemon, even if they weren't in the dex, still were in the game. They were coded into the game. So you could still get everyone into the game afterwards. You could trade, import, action replay, save editor, anything. You could still get all of them. This, on the other hand, has them not in there whatsoever. So it's not like, oh, you have to wait or whatever to get them, but you can get them all if you want to. No, they're not even in there if you want to have them. So a terrible comparison, and it's not the same thing. Another stupid argument I heard is that, oh, the Switch just can't handle all those Pokemon. It's just too much resources, too much time and money to put them all in there. Wrong. If the 3DS and all the previous games too, Game Boy, which had 151, and of course 251 if you include Johto, because that was on Game Boy too. Game Boy Advance, which could hold up to 386. DS, which could hold up to 649, remember? And then the 3DS, which went up all the way up to 809. And the Switch is the newer system. If all those older systems can hold, especially the 3DS, if the 3DS could hold up to 800 Pokemon plus without problem, then the Switch, which has more power and has more storage, can do it too. It's not debatable. They can do it. They have the technology to do so. They have all the capabilities to do so. And then when it comes to the models, I've said this before, and it's still the case to stay. They literally recycle the models from the older Pokemon that they've made before. In fact, in a lot of ways, if you look at the Gen 1 Pokemon, for example, a lot of them still use the exact same models and animations from Stadium, which was released back in 2000 or 1998, 20 years ago. They're still using the exact same models and animations, just updated. So no, they don't have to remake all those old models again. They can import them in the game, and again, that's not debatable. And then finally, the only other argument I heard was, they just did not have enough time to add everyone in, and they have to get it done immediately. Okay, one, I highly doubt that for multiple reasons. One, think about this. Excluding 2015, since they did not add a game that year, the last, almost 10 years if you think about it. Yeah, since 2012. 2012 to 2018, and 19 too, exclude 2015, they released a new game every year. Think about that. Every year from 2012 to 19, except 2015, which was the off year. And look what we've gone from since. Black 2 and White 2, XY, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, Sun Moon, Ultra Sun Ultra Moon, and LGPE 2, and now Shield and Sword. They've done like a dozen games, I think that is in total. If they could do those games within a year, and they also worked on years in advance, they could do it now too. That's not debatable. And also, I've seen rumors, they've worked on this for a year at least. We know they've been working on it for at least a year, because remember when they announced LGPE last year. And from what I've heard, they might have been working on it even before the Switch was announced. But released back in 2017, so they might have worked on this game all the way back in 2017 maybe. So they had all these years, at least a year plus, to work on it. I don't buy that excuse. I think they had more than enough time to add them all in. But, for the sake of the argument, if that is indeed the case, why they can't add them all in, well, here's what you do in that situation. You fucking wait another year or so to add them all in, and then you fucking release them! You don't fucking rush a game out when it's not finished. This has been killing the industry for like a decade almost now, because they keep releasing games broken, they get terrible reviews, the sales are shit, people are pissed off, and then later on they finally patch the shit out of the games to make them playable. No, that's not how it's supposed to be. The games are supposed to be fucking completely finished when they come out. And if they need to take a year or more to make them, you fucking wait that year to release them, to add everything in there, and that way everyone will be happy. And tell all the shareholders that are so desperate to get the games out, tell them to go fuck off and deal with it, and they can fucking wait. And you know what I was thinking while I was doing that rant too? Another argument I forgot to add was supposedly one reason that might be is because of Dynamaxing, is because, they have to make all new models for all the Pokemon if they do Dynamaxing. I don't know yet if everyone's going to do Dynamaxing or not, but if that is the case, they have to make all new models for them to do the Dynamaxing crap, and it's just too much to do, so let's use only certain Pokemon. Again, as someone who actually does modeling of 3D models for MTWS, that's not the case that you need to make new models. All they are is just resized, and the polygons remain the same. I can literally take any truck of mine on MTWS, make it gazillion times bigger like on Pokemon, and it will still be the exact same model number. I mean the face number and vertices, all that. It still remains the same, just bigger and spread out. So they don't need to remake all the models for that. And if that also is indeed part of the reason why they're not adding them in, then maybe that's a good reason why they should not have Dynamaxing in the first place. I know, radical and smart idea, a horrible concept, maybe they shouldn't have added in at the start. Really smart idea, I must say. Also, I found out too that they took out Mega Evolutions and Z-Moves because of this. You know, I remember saying this, I might have actually even done it in a video. No, I remember making this argument to people before when it came to, like I said earlier about games being released not finished and broken, that Nintendo and Gamefreak do it right with Pokemon. They make the game perfect as is, and then they release it afterwards. And that's why I've been saying up to like the last couple years ago. But you know what now? It's kind of starting to get obvious that this rush out the game as soon as possible is obviously starting to affect Nintendo and Gamefreak too. And like I said, that is not good for the industry, let alone us gamers. If the games come out broken, it's such a difficult to return them because they have terrible return policies. It causes a massive shit show. Games have terrible reviews. It hurts the industry. It hurts the developers. Like, look at how Bethesda's still fucked up with Fallout 76 that was released last year. God, I don't think they've ever fully recovered still because they keep fucking up with that game. The gaming industry needs a massive culture change back to what it was, how it used to be. When you make a game, it needs to be perfect from the start. No releasing buggy games to get them out as quickly as possible to piss people off and to cause you much misery. And it's also bad financially too, because you got to make all those returns after you finally give into the pressure and give out a whole bunch of freebies to players to get them to calm down. It's bad for you. You need to release the game when it's finished. And if it needs to take another year or so, then take that year or so to finish it. And then when the game comes out, the players will be happy and you won't have to deal with the backlash. It's smart business decision and a smart consumer decision, but for some reason, the gaming industry refuses to do that, even though it repeatedly hurts them over and over and over again. So no, Game Freak and Nintendo, if this is indeed true, then fucking wait a year, if longer, to add every Pokemon in there, and that way the game could actually be good. Because you know what? You're getting close to the point where I might actually consider boycotting Sword and Shield too, especially since I would have to buy a Switch, and I don't want to waste all that money for what I think could be a very bad Pokemon game like LGPE was, where I can use that money instead to buy things that I know I would enjoy. And that is something that we need to do. If this is indeed the case, we need to start doing a massive boycott of all the gaming franchises, including Pokemon, to finally pressure Nintendo and Game Freak and all of them too at the point of their weakness, their wallet. If people don't buy the games, they don't sell well, it hurts them financially. And then they would finally listen and do what we say and don't fuck over our games. Because they need to start listening to us, because they're obviously not doing so. And then the response I get from everyone is, oh, you're just a hater. You never give the games a chance. Except when I praise them for the camera angles and the open world view in my last video on this. Yeah, so much for being a hater. More like I just love the Pokemon series, as I'm a huge fanboy of it since fucking 1999 to 2000. And I know, as a huge fan of the series, what is best for the Pokemon games. And not surprisingly, the developers. And guess what? We helped make Pokemon as big as it is today. So if Nintendo and Game Freak do not want to kill a franchise, then you need to listen to us and don't fucking make these horrible decisions. And remember, don't fucking add new things stupidly like Dynamaxing, especially when you're most likely going to get rid of them in a future games like you did for Mega Evolutions and Z-Moves so far, looks like right now. And that's another thing I said about Pokemon historically, is that's why Pokemon became a dominant franchise as it is today. You don't change anything about it. You don't change the core mechanics of it. You keep it exactly the same, and that's what Pokemon has pretty much done, except LGPE, for over 20 years, and that's why it's got big. You don't ever change the core mechanics of the game. Ever. So, like I said, I hope this isn't true, but from what I've read, it's starting to look like it is indeed the case. And if that's the case, fuck you, Nintendo. Fuck you, Game Freak. I am considering maybe boycotting the game soon if this keeps up. And then, of course, when you add the new Pokebank for Gen 8, so where you can add Pokemon in, but you can't transfer them over to Shield and Sword because they're not in the game. You realize how much of a big slap in the face, especially financially, that is for players who have to pay money to keep them in the storage only for them not to be able to use them. You are fucking wrong, Game Freak and Nintendo. You need to wait another year or so to get the game finished, if that's the case, the problem, which I still don't fully believe. I think you could add them in right now. And if you're not, then we need, us Pokemon fans, need to have a massive backlash and pressure the shit out of them to fall in line with our demands. Hashtag save the national Dex.